Hello everyone, my name is The Ultimate Spy, and welcome to another episode of Reviewed number 190. And today, I am going to be reviewing Avengers Endgame, the sequel to Avengers Infinity War, and the 10th film in Phase 3 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, as well as the 22nd Marvel movie overall. Not to mention, it also accomplished several cinematic achievements, including becoming the highest-grossing film of all time, the highest-grossing superhero movie of all time, the highest-grossing Marvel movie of all time, after Infinity War, and will forever be the greatest superhero movie of all time. What did I think of Avengers Endgame? Oh my god, it was awesome. I loved it. It's probably my favorite superhero movie of all time, and obviously my favorite MCU movie of all time. I know in my Infinity War review I said that was my favorite MCU film of all time, but honestly this one tops it. Both films are great, but Endgame is just amazing. Just everything about it is amazing. It wraps up that 22 film saga that Marvel Studios had planned, that they're obviously going to continue with more movies and more stories, but like, oh my goodness, it was the perfect end to the first three phases of the MCU. And like, it just like, the idea of connecting all 22 films in a way that none of the other Avengers films did is truly amazing. Okay, so I have quite the list to go through here. I've written everything down of what I observed from the movie, watching it several times in a row because it's an amazing movie. Okay, so the Marvel intro, very different. I mean, it's the same intro. I mean, we're not gonna have like Stan Lee popping in like in Captain Marvel, but like, what's special about this intro is that it replaces the music that like the current Marvel intro music that you hear like that one. I don't know if you can understand what I'm trying to hum here, but it's like the current Marvel intro theme music we have, like the 41-second or whatever like that. It is a kind of pop song. I don't know. I don't even know what kind of song it is. I mean, I think it's some kind of pop song or just some random song that's being played. And essentially, they only incorporate the characters in this intro that are their remaining people that are survived the snap. The ones we don't see are the ones we lost. Like, you can't see Doctor Strange, you can't see Scarlet Witch, you can't see Falcon. All those characters are just gone. It's incredible. And it really sets the tone for the film itself about them bringing everybody back and how they managed to do that, which is just incredible. So, yeah, the Marvel intro was very unique and very special. I like that a lot. It was truly amazing. And when Tony records his message for Pepper because he doesn't know if he's going to be able to get home, he says, "Don't post it on social media." And that's actually a reference, I'm pretty sure, to the fact that in Infinity War, the way it ended, like, everyone was posting on social media about the film's ending. They'll try to spoil it, like who dies and who lives, that kind of thing. And it's like, yeah, this grief you're going to have for a couple of weeks because, of course, people after that they would be processing it for, like, weeks. You know, just trying to recover from it because of how crazy the ending was for Infinity War. I guess that was kind of like a reference to that. Not really a joke because the tone of that scene was meant to be taken very seriously. Like, you know, Tony didn't know if he was going to make it back. So, yeah, that was a reference obviously to how crazy Infinity War was. So, yeah, there you go. One of the things that Tony mentions to Pepper in his recording, and I like this a lot actually, is that he says, you know, it's day 21, no, day 22. That's obviously just over 3 weeks, but it's also a reference to the fact that Endgame is the 22nd Marvel film in the MCU, which is actually kind of a coincidence. Like, I guess I wanted to deliberately do that, but like, it's really incredible that they managed to make 22 films as of Endgame. That's like, oh, wow. And Nebula and Tony are basically stranded on the Minotaur Guardian ship, and in the scenes they share, you really see that Nebula cares for Tony, like really wants him to survive, letting him eat the last of the food and essentially starving. But also, she is much different from the past Nebula, like 2014 Nebula, for example, much different. Her personality is much more different, even though she's still kind of like, I don't know, not very positive. She cares enough, but like not enough to like, you know, think that everything's gonna be great. You know, think that the world is a better place now, kind of. But she definitely seems to be on the same side as the Avengers. The entire team, like, she wants to help them because she knows that what Thanos did was horrible. Obviously, this is not like her. Like, you know, in the past Nebula, very different, but at the same time, it does prove that she has changed since the Guardians film, which is truly incredible. And one of the main reasons that the film has a 5-year time skip is because the 2018 version of Thanos, the one that just wiped out half the universe, because he destroyed the stones using the stones, basically snapped the stones out of existence. So just like that, he had no use for them, basically. You know, I mean, almost killed him. And so it's like, well, the Avengers had planned to take the stones from him and bring everybody back, but like, yeah, that didn't work. So they essentially just give up because they don't have any other option. Thor kills Thanos, and they're like, oh well, I guess that's the end of it. They basically give up because they don't have any other way to bring everybody back. So they just give up on life and, like, you know, let the universe, you know, remain the way it is, you know, with half of it gone for the next 5 years, which is insane. But that's why they have a 5-year time skip, because of that, because they essentially just give up because they have no idea what they're gonna do. So yeah. And one of the really special things about Endgame was that Tony's dream came true. In Infinity War, the first scene set in New York, you see Tony talking to Pepper about, you know, the fact that he had a dream about having a daughter named Morgan. And he gets that dream because in the 5-year time skip, he has a daughter. He's married Pepper and he's got a daughter named Morgan. And it's so cute. I think he even has a nickname for her, Laguna, which is so cute because she's honestly adorable. Like, she is the cutest kid I've ever seen in a film. She is so cute. She is adorable. Like, oh my god. I love it. She's just, like, the best. So I really like the actress who plays Morgan because she is such a cute little girl. Just like, oh my goodness. Like, I love it. And in the same scene that we see Morgan first appear in, she's actually wearing the Iron Man suit that Tony made for Pepper, which is apparently he calls it Rescue, and it's essentially the Mark 49 armor. I mean, that's what I read online, but I don't know. That I'm not sure. Tony's armors are really weird. I don't know, but like, that's supposed to be for her, and that's so that they can both have armors. And what's really fun is that they get to fight together in the final battle, and like, she actually dons the armor, which is incredible. I mean, Morgan wears only the helmet part, but like, still, it's so cool. I just love it. That's fantastic. Plus, like, Gwyneth Paltrow essentially spoiled that on an Instagram post. So there you go. And one of the things about Endgame that makes a lot of people, including me, just shake my head is that a fucking rat saved the universe. It's like, what? So when Ant-Man gets out of the quantum realm, a rat just happens to be there, and, you know, just happens to be, you know, crawling on the pad, the touch pad that, you know, turns on the quantum realm thing that spits him out, because it's an Ant-Man's ex-con van. And it's just like, imagine if the rat hadn't been there. Then, yeah, the universe probably would have been screwed. Like, Ant-Man would never have gotten out. So, like, I mean, people are, you know, I think the writers are using out, it's a coincidence that happened, but it's like, is it though? No, a rat saved the universe. I mean, it's kind of funny the way you look at it, but it's like, you know, pretty low chance the rat's actually going to do that. But at the same time, it's like, I guess the rat was scourging or something. It just like happens to be in the button. So there you go, like, finally releasing him. So, you know, there you go, universe saved. And with the 5-year time skip, Cassie Lang, who is a little girl in the Ant-Man films, is now a teenager. And because of this, she actually has the potential to become Stature from the comic. Now, I've watched a video or two from Emergency Awesome talking about how Stature essentially has the same kind of suit as Ant-Man and the Wasp, where it can shrink in size and increase in strength, that kind of thing. So maybe that'll happen. Maybe she'll be in the new team. I don't know what's going to happen. I would be really fun, actually. It'd be really awesome if she could, because in Ant-Man and the Wasp, it was teased that she wants to become a hero just like him. So maybe that'll actually happen. Maybe that'll be what happens in the next Avengers film or whatever. I don't know. Or maybe even in the next Ant-Man film. I mean, maybe so, but I don't know. I mean, that'd be cool. I don't really know anything about the character of Stature, that the name that Cassie takes on, but like, still, that would be really cool though. I would like to see that a lot. Now, one place that actually gets paid off from Thor Ragnarok is New Asgard. Now, towards the end of Thor Ragnarok, Odin, who is in Norway according to Doctor Strange in that film, says this could be Asgard. It actually becomes Asgard, New Asgard. So they relocate because Asgard, as Thor and the Asgardians knew it as, is gone. So they relocate to Norway and rebuild, not like the fancy palaces and stuff like that, but like at the same time, it's still pretty cool that they find out, that they did that. They had Norway in there. That's like a really amazing way to pay it off. Having a thing from Thor Ragnarok pay off, that's incredible, and it's like it's truly amazing. I mean, like they only have a few Asgardians left because you have the full Asgardians. Half of them got wiped out by Thanos. Half of that was wiped out by the snaps. So not a whole lot of Asgardians left. We're talking about maybe a dozen, maybe. I don't know. I don't think anyone actually knows how many Asgardians were left after the snap, but not a lot. And one thing a lot of people, including me, were kind of confused about was why War Machine doesn't get a Ant-Man style helmet for his quantum suit, like the other Avengers and Guardians do. Because Rhodey's helmet is not like Tony's, where it's not like it forms around his body. His suit is actually like physical, he has to actually get into it. And so that's why he doesn't get in his own quantum mask. So that's the way it is. It's simple as that. That's the answer to the question. It's simple as that. It's just he doesn't have as fancy technology that Tony does to have a suit that is like that. So that's how it is. And in Endgame, because time travel is a big part of it, they go back to Morag in 2014, which is the same time period that the first Guardians is set, and also when Star-Lord is going after the Power Stone without realizing how dangerous it is. There's a 2014 version of Nebula and then the 2023 version of Nebula. So the 2014 version is obviously the less friendly one, not the one who's helping the Avengers undo the snap, essentially. Like 2014 version is very much like she's very much obeying Thanos and like doing everything he says. 2023 version, not so much, because she hates Thanos and she wants to help the Avengers fix everything. So they're very different Nebulas for sure. That's something I noticed very much. And because the Avengers go to different time periods in this movie, the 2012 version of Loki from the Avengers, which I actually prefer from the Ragnarok version, actually steals the 2012 version of the Tesseract and then just opens the portal and disappears. Because Iron Man and Ant-Man have their problems and they lose it, and then the Tesseract goes away, he disappears and goes to the Disney Plus series. That's what it's going to be paid off, is the Disney Plus series. It's going to be the answer of like where'd he go. That's the version I like a lot more. He hasn't been redeemed yet in Thor: The Dark World and all that stuff, so like I'm really happy that they're going to go with that version of Loki because he is a much better version. And he's a lot more, cynical and evil, and just like he's my favorite version for sure. Now, a pretty surprising appearance was none other than the 1970 version of Peggy Carter, who would actually technically be 20-ish years older than she is from the first Captain America movie and also in Agent Carter series. A lot of people were saying, "Oh, why isn't she like all older?" I'm like, well, she is. She has gray hair. She's just like 20 years older. It's like it's not that much of a difference. Like it's only like 20 years. So, like she has a little gray hair, but like nothing horrible. But like, yeah, it was definitely surprising to see that. That was really cool. And during the final battle, at least the first half, the one where Iron Man, Captain America, and Thor are all fighting Thanos. Thanos is chopping away at Cap's shield, which is made by vibranium, and yet Thanos' sword can like chip away at it. Like that's insane. Like you have vibranium, which is what Captain America's shield is made out of, the strongest metal of Earth, versus Thanos' sword. I mean, it must be the fact that Thanos' sword must be made out of like an even stronger metal. I don't know. Like the only reason that could happen is because of the fact that Thanos' sword is stronger than Cap's shield, which is insane. But like that's like, yeah, wow, it's crazy. Now War Machine actually gets a new armor upgrade when he arrives with Hulk, Ant-Man, and Rocket during the final battle. And that's because his previous armor was crushed when the Avengers base was obviously collapsed thanks to Thanos. And because of that, he gets new armor. I don't know how he does it, but somehow he managed to find a backup somewhere. I don't know. But people are speculating that backup armor is supposed to be like an upgraded version of his Iron Patriot armor from Iron Man 3, but like, that doesn't really work. I mean, I can sort of see it. It kind of looks like that with the coloring, but like, it's vastly different. It's way, way different. I don't know the answer to that. I don't know where he got it from. He must have had it back up somewhere, but like, at the same time, I don't know. Like, it's a lot bigger too. Like, if you notice, when Hulk's doing the snap, the armor that War Machine is wearing, it's a lot smaller than the armor she has in the final battle. That's one question I would have liked to get answered, but I guess I'll never know. And one thing that a lot of people were confused about in the final battle is Spider-Man with his swinging, because when he's swinging, it looks like he's swinging on nothing, but it actually is Ant-Man's right hand. But then, like, it's only for a few seconds, because then later you see him literally swinging on nothing, like, web swinging on nothing. It's like, huh? I mean, to be fair, that kind of idea was also present in the terrible Spider-Man game, based off the original film from Sam Raimi, and I had actually tossed a game because I could not get through. It was so bad. Like, the web swinging mechanics were bad, the camera was bad, everything about the game was terrible. Probably one of the worst Spider-Man games I played. It's so bad. I didn't even bother finishing it because it was so bad. But it's like, it kind of, I mean, I don't think it was a reference to that, but it's like, it kind of maybe pulls from that, like the inspiration of that kind of idea maybe takes from the fact that the original game, that original movie game, had basically game-breaking mechanics where Spider-Man was swinging on nothing. So I don't know why. Like, he literally has to swing on something. He can't just swing on air. But yeah, it looks like he was swinging on air after he was on Ant-Man. So I don't know what that was about. It's weird. It doesn't make sense. It's very confusing. When Captain Marvel is up against Thanos, this is like one of the best matchups ever because they're both so powerful. But then we don't realize that the Power Stone is a little bit more powerful than her, which is the reason why she gets knocked down. Like, that's insane. Like, the Power Stone has a little more power to her, so that's why she gets knocked down. Like she doesn't. I think she's surprised. Like, oh my god, that's so powerful. So like she doesn't realize that she's actually surprised. So that's because Thanos wants to win so bad. So yep. And one thing that a lot of people, including me, were like not sure how it would work is Cap putting the stones back. From the different parts of time the Avengers originally got them from. So like, okay, based off each stone location and where it came from, that would be a little complicated. So like the Time Stone, he would need to go back to the ancient one. I mean, that's easy. Just go back to the ancient one during the Battle of New York and give back like, hey, here you go. Hopefully we get the stone back. So here you go. And then the Power Stone probably just put back in the orb, which makes no sense because like, where would you get the orb? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know about that. The Reality Stone probably just like go to the Asgard during 2013 and just like, I don't know, maybe break the stone into parts and crumble it and then like, put it into a thing and stab Jane. I don't know. The Reality Stone is one I don't understand about that. And then the Space Stone, because it was originally the Tesseract, you put a cube in? I don't know. The Space Stone doesn't make any sense because it was originally a cube. And in Infinity War, Thanos had a crush to get a stone, so that doesn't make sense. I don't know how you do that. And then the Soul Stone, we would have to go to Vormir, talk to Red Skull after years because he hasn't seen Red Skull in a long time since he fought him in the first Avenger. So that'd be a little bit awkward. I think Chris Evans or even the writer of that scene that it would be a little bit awkward. And then the Mind Stone, well, just put it back in the scepter, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. It would be really weird that the whole idea of putting the swords back would be very strange. So that's like something I'm very curious about. So if you have an idea about how Captain America would have done that, let me know in the comments because I would love to know. How would you envision that? How would you think that would actually go down? Because that's all I can think of. Because I literally have no idea. Like half the stones, I don't understand how that would work. Ugh, weird. Now, one of the things that I really loved about the ending of the film was that Cap finally got his happy ending with Peggy Carter. He got to live the rest of his life with Peggy Carter in the 1940s, obviously after the war, and then come back in present day as an old man. Having lived his life, and probably Peggy Carter probably would have died by then, but like, that is amazing. It's a really amazing way to end Captain America's arc, and really give him a happy ending. And it's amazing. It's beautiful. It's a great way to do it, and obviously, because Cap's old, he's retired, so yeah. He's no longer the leader of the Avengers. Probably we're thinking about Spider-Man being the leader. I don't know. The team's gonna be very different from now on. And when old Steve gives Sam the mantle of Captain America via the shield, a new version of the shield, because it's a little bit different, it's a little bit altered. I was hoping it would have been Bucky. And a lot of people had that same idea, like, oh, why didn't Bucky get the shield? Mainly because in the comics, that happened. Falcon got the shield at one point. Falcon became the new Captain America at one point in the comic. Bucky also got the mantle too. I wanted that to happen, but at the same time, I think it was really up to the writers and also probably Kevin Feige and the directors, how that was going to happen. And that was the decision. They wanted to give Falcon the mantle of Captain America. And that's amazing because, they wanted to follow at least one version of the comics. Obviously, they picked Sam for being Captain America. Although, according to the Falcon and Winter Soldier, the upcoming 2020, which is this year, Disney Plus series, he's not going to be Captain America. He's using the shield, yes, but he's not going to be Captain America. The actor who plays Falcon in the movie said that he would always be the Falcon. He just happened to have the mantle of Captain America. He has the shield, so he's the Falcon, but he's also using the shield. So it's he's not technically Captain America. He's been given the mantle, but he doesn't. I guess he doesn't accept it. Maybe. I'm assuming we're probably gonna get the answer to that in the series. Most likely. There's no other idea we're probably gonna get. So I'd assume we're probably gonna get the answer to that in the series for sure. And there was plenty of things that I liked about this movie. So I just listed all the stuff that really stood out to me from the film, but I have a buttload more things to talk about for what I liked about the movie. And oh my god, there's so much. First off, Morgan telling Tony that she loves him 3000. That is just so special because it's actually a real life reference. I actually, I heard about this in some videos I was watching, that the reason Morgan says that to Tony is that in real life, Robert Downey Jr. actually says that to his kids, which is so amazing. That's the best thing ever, and that's actually become a meme now, the special MCU thing is that, I love you 3000, which is amazing. I loved that a lot. That was an incredible thing to say, and it makes Morgan even more adorable, so that was really cute. And a couple of characters that came back from the Ragnarok, which is special, were Korg and Valkyrie. Now, Valkyrie doesn't have the tattoos or whatever, the markings that she had on in Thor Ragnarok, which is nice. I just wasn't a fan of that. But then they have Korg, who is, in the same shirt that the actual actor who plays Korg is in real life, the Hawaiian shirt or whatever he's wearing. And then you also have Meek there too. But they're in Thor's little hut thing and they're playing Fortnite. It's just the weirdest thing ever. It's really? But at the same time, it is so fun to see those characters again because they really made the Ragnarok fun. They're really, really fun. I love those characters. They're so much fun. And when Hulk was explaining time travel to Rhodey, he started listing off all these time travel movies. And it's actually really interesting because when Spider-Man mentioned Episode 5, Star Wars, during Civil War, the Avengers thought he was crazy. Rhodey's oh, how old is this kid? Seriously? Because, Star Wars is a pretty old movie, but it's apparently the Avengers don't watch enough movies. They're all serious about saving the world and the government, so they don't really watch enough movies, and it's oh, this kid talking about movies, really? And then here Rhodey goes talking about movies too, so there you go. I guess he's watching movies too. And I definitely felt the 2023 version of Thor was a lot funnier post Thanos snap and pre Hulk snap, just because he was a different person. He just he had failed, and he basically given up hope and was miserable and depressed and all that stuff and fat, and he didn't really care. He didn't really want to help the other Avengers. So especially during the scene where Steve's "What's with the ether? Thor, what do you know?" And Natasha's "Is he asleep?" And Rhodey's "No, pretty sure he's dead." I love that. That was great. But yeah, he's much different in the 5-year time gap for sure. And one of the things I really liked, and this is just an awesome moment, is all the remaining Avengers and Guardians. The Guardians are only 2 because of Rocket and Nebula, and they're all in a circle and they're getting ready to go into the quantum realm to under the snap, and it's just so cool. Just so cool. Plus, the Avengers team is playing, and it's it's amazing. Because this is the last Avengers one with the original 6. It's just incredible. But also, an interesting fact is that the quantum suits we see in the film are actually completely 100% CGI. They look so real, I know, but because they didn't know what they were going to look like until after they had to shot the movie, so they just, they just had them in editing as CGI suits, and they look so real. It's crazy. That's how crazy it is. It's just so cool. In the first period in time, we actually get to see again after, at this point, it's like 7 years in terms of the actual, release date of the film, is the Battle of New York, 2012. That was so cool. And, seeing, the team of Iron Man, Ant-Man, Captain America, and Hulk all travel to that period, and then seeing the camera pan of the original six Avengers, like we're all, it's all circling around them and we see them all. I mean, not with the Avengers theme, but like just in general, it's so cool. I just like, it's great nostalgia to see that scene again, because that scene is honestly one of the best scenes in the original Avengers. It's so cool. So I like that a lot. There was also a couple more surprise reappearances by some characters who had died before, and that includes the ancient one who died in Doctor Strange, who comes back as the 2012 version of that character, because apparently she was protecting the City of Torum during the Battle of New York, apparently. And then also the Thor the Dark World version of Frigga, who is Thor's mother from the Thor films. That is just special because, the 2023 Thor gets to visit his mother, and it's a truly special thing they did. I love that. Like, this movie really is the most special MCU film, and also the most special Avengers film that Marvel's ever done. So it's really amazing we get to see these characters again. The fact that Frigga recognizes him is so cool. Like, it's just amazing. I love that. I also like the scene from the original Avengers where the 2012 version of that team is actually cornering Loki, and it's like it's from a different angle, like a different perspective, and it's so cool. But also it's like a newly shot scene. It looks like it's a deleted scene, but it's actually a newly shot scene, because all you do is just like do some hair and makeup, and that just makes them look like you're from the original film, which is so cool. I just love that. Just seeing a different perspective on it is so cool. And also seeing the 2012 version of Iron Man in his suit, it just looks a lot weirder and different than we normally see it, because I guess the CGI has changed so much. It's just like it's more of the disposal and post production. I don't know. It's wild. And unlike the original Avengers, where Hulk only had one line, which was "Pretty God," obviously, Hulk actually talks a lot more in this. I mean, obviously, as Banner, but like in the original Avengers, he talks a lot more. Complains about stairs and stuff like that. It's like, so many stairs, hate the stairs. Yeah, it's great. Seeing him talk more is fantastic, because in the past he never really talked a lot, like ever. Just like grunts and growls and stuff like that. So, yep, there you go. Now, a really, really cool fight was between the 2023 version of Captain America, who was obviously wearing his 2012 suit, versus the 2012 Captain America. And it's so cool, because obviously it's like a lot, it's stunt doubles, and then making Chris Evans' face appear on the stunt double, and it's just like, it's incredible. Like, they were able to pull off, and like the entire background is CGI except for some stairs and stuff, and obviously the platform they're on. It's incredible what they were able to pull off. So I was really impressed by that. It was an incredible scene. And then I really, really like the fact that Thor finally got Mjolnir back, because a lot of people were crushed, no pun intended, when Mjolnir got destroyed in Thor Ragnarok. That was obviously the 2017 version of the hammer, and Thor actually gets the 2013 version of the hammer from Thor the Dark World. And it's so cool to finally get it back. He's like, oh, I'm so worthy. It's like, it's great. So I was so happy that he finally got a version of the hammer back. So that was incredible. Obviously he doesn't get to keep it, but still, it's so cool. And another perspective change is after the scene where Thor gets the 2013 version of Mjolnir back, we cut to the opening of the first Guardians of the Galaxy, where Peter Quill, Star-Lord, is dancing around with his Walkman on Morag, looking for the Power Stone, without realizing how dangerous it is, obviously. And obviously it's like, footage from that first movie. But then we see newer footage, which is actually a different perspective. And I mean, obviously it's the same actor, just, change his hair a bit, and have a different costume. That's pretty much it. But like, it's so cool. And then obviously War Machine's like, so he's an idiot. Yeah. When you think about it that way, then yeah, he is an idiot for just like singing him to himself. I mean, everyone does it, right? And then when Steve and Tony go to the 70s to retrieve that version of the Tesseract, they actually go to the military camp where Steve was actually trained to eventually become Captain America. I mean, obviously he hadn't become Captain America at that point, but like, he was trained for the military, which would eventually lead him to become Captain America. So that was one nice little like nod to that, like especially since Steve's like, the idea of Captain America was born here. Like, it's incredible. That was really nice. And in that same time period of the 70s, Tony actually bumps into the '70s version of his father, who in the past he had a difficult relationship with, like his father never told him he loved him, that kind of thing. And then when he first meets his father, he comes up with a fake name using his father's first name and Pepper's last name to create Howard Potts, which is, kind of funny. Like, he just kind of like thinks like, oh, what could be a good last name? Oh, I know, Potts. Just do it like that. So yeah, I really like the fact that they got John Slattery to come back as a version of Howard Stark. It's incredible because eventually having that relationship form, kind of like having they get to talk even though Howard doesn't actually know him because the past is just so special. And another really, really cool appearance was so special, and that was by James Darcy, who plays Edwin Jarvis in the MCU TV series Agent Carter. He makes an appearance as the 1970s version of Edwin Jarvis, and it's so cool. Like, it's the first time that a character from a MCU TV series, which they don't really cross him over, like, ever, except maybe Coulson, but that didn't really count because he went from a movie to a TV show. It's never happened before. We've taken a TV show character to a movie. It's just never happened before. Obviously, this is going to change for Phase 4, but, like, it's still really freaking cool. So, I was very surprised by that. That was such an incredible appearance. And because the Infinity Gauntlet that Thanos got was basically useless after he destroyed the stones in 2018, Tony makes a new gauntlet that was created using nanotech, and it's so cool. I definitely like the design of it is a lot sleeker and cooler than the original gauntlet, but like the way it's made is because the nanotech is actually able to make the holes for the stones, and it's so cool. I really like it. It's incredible. It's really amazing. Especially since the fact that Hulk, who's the one who sends everyone back, has such big hands. The gauntlet, because it's made out of nanotech, is able to like form around anybody's hand, like any size hand. So it can basically form around Hulk's hand because he has a really big hand. So that was really cool. I liked it a lot. It was cool. I liked the nanotech gauntlet a lot. If I were to compare the two uniforms that Captain America wears throughout all of his MCU appearances, I would definitely have two favorites, and that's obviously the Endgame final battle suit he wears, which is incredible because it's very comic accurate, and then the Age of Ultron suits. Both of them are my favorite. I definitely like, if I were to pick one or the other, I would definitely pick the Age of Ultron one, but like, they're still both really cool, and yeah. So, either one, but really Age of Ultron would win in that battle, but still, love them both. And as well as that, my favorite two Iron Man suits are actually the Iron Man 2 suit and then the nanotech suit he wears in Endgame for the final battle. And that's actually one of my favorite suit ups because the nanotech suit is such a cool suit. I just love it because from the anime, it's so cool. So I love that suit. It's awesome. And a pretty funny cameo actually is none other than Howard the Duck. It's really hard to spot him, but like when the Wasp first appears from the portal, like she's obviously smaller, but she grows and she takes her helmet off. In the background, it's like a blink and you miss it, and Howard the Duck is just walking with his gun, just like really because he's only made a couple of appearances in the MCU, and that's in both of the Guardians films. Guardians 1, it was the post credit scene, and Guardians 2, it was the very beginning of the film. So like, it's like the most random character to appear in the final battle, definitely. And the whole reason why Ant-Man changes to Giant Man is because he rescues War Machine, Hulk, and Rocket during the final battle because they're underwater and everything like that. So, hence Giant Man. But it's like, seeing that shot with him just in the background is so cool. Like, oh my god, it's awesome. Because Giant Man is probably one of my favorite versions of Ant-Man because, all it is just a bigger version of Ant-Man, but at the same time it's like, it's so cool. It's a total nerd out. It's awesome. And there are a total of 4 different times where Thanos actually shows fear in his eyes. And it's very unique. It's like, you really have to see it in his eyes to know, like, okay, that's really actually fear in his eyes right there that we're seeing. And that is when all the portals open up and we see all the Avengers, Guardians, the Asgardians, the Ravagers, the Wakandans, and the Sorcerers all show up for the battle. And he's just like, oh... he has his own army, but it's like, shit. Okay, now we're evenly matched. Yeah, I have a giant army, and then all the heroes have their army too. Of all these people, like, it's awesome. It is so cool. Probably one of the biggest reasons why Endgame is the best Avengers film. because it's awesome. That's the first one. And then the second one is when Scarlet Witch shows up and, is blocking him from Black Panther, because Black Panther at that moment has the gauntlet. And Scarlet Witch, because she's the most powerful hero aside from Captain Marvel, basically, raises Thanos up and starts crushing his armor, and he's actually terrified. Like, in that moment, he's like, oh my god, I'm gonna die if I don't do something. So, that's the thing. And then the third one is when Captain Marvel finally shows up after, the entire film, basically, because she, skips out the entire film. I kid you not, I was told that she has, 15 minutes in the film. Literally 15 minutes. And when she destroys his ship, Thanos is like, because it's like his ships, it's like he's terrified. The greatest comic book villain put to screen is actually scared for once. That's 3. And then 4 is when Tony actually managed to get all the Infinity Stones into his suit, because his suit, which is made by nanotech, automatically just gets his stones in it. I don't know how to do it, but it's magic like that. And when he gets the stone, he's like that. He looks at Iron Man and he's like, oh shit. Because at that point, he's lost. Thanos is actually lost. So that was incredible just to see the fear in his eyes. He is legitimately terrified. Which is good, because you want to have a villain eventually being scared. So, and then when Cap finally says Avengers Assemble, which is the greatest moment in any MCU film, for sure. It means that all the Avengers, all the superheroes we know, are Avengers in that moment. Even the Wasp, even Doctor Strange, even Bucky, I'd say. I'm assuming that just means the front row, which means all the Guardians are temporary Avengers. I mean, yes, because Cap didn't say Avengers if none of them were Avengers. I mean, technically that would mean that Wong was an Avenger, but that doesn't make sense. So I would probably count all the characters that were in the front row, excluding Wong, are Avengers now. Not the back row. The back row, as Guardians, the Sorcerers, the Ravagers, I wouldn't really call them as Avengers, but everyone in the front row, definitely Avengers. I mean, for sure. And then also, this also marks the first Avengers film, besides maybe Age of Ultron, where we actually hear Captain America say Avengers Assemble, and it's the best moment. It's like, Avengers Assemble! And it's awesome, because in Age of Ultron, he almost says it. He says, Avengers! In the moment he's about to say Assemble, the film cuts to the credits. So, he almost says it in Age of Ultron. I think literally scene, I think Scarlett Johansson says it, but, it's meant to be a joke, but, yeah, still. This is the first Avengers film we actually hear it happen, so pretty awesome. And although Mantis is a pretty useless character, she actually has use in the final battle, because one of the Thanos' creatures, she actually manages to put it to sleep. So, she does have a use. Just it's not like a superpower, but it's an ability, but it's not hugely useful. But it's it does prove to be somewhat useful, but not crazy useful. But still, you forget how special she is. So that's why I like her a lot. She's a very interesting character, because by doing that, it makes it a lot easier for the other heroes to actually kill the creatures that she's putting to sleep or whatever. So there you go. Now, one of the moments in Spider-Man Homecoming, we're going back in the MCU actually, is the hug that Peter and Tony never got, because at that moment Tony was just getting the door for him. But in the final battle, when Peter and Tony are finally reunited, because at that point they don't have a mask on, so I wouldn't call them Spider-Man and Iron Man, they finally get their hug. It's so special because he legit misses Peter. It's so special. So I was like, yay. And not only that, but also during Spider-Man Homecoming, something that would never actually put out, Spider-Man never actually used during that film, was instant kill mode. And in the final battle, he finally gets to use it, activate instant kill, and it basically turns out that instant kill is basically the spider appendages that are, coming out of his back, and just go crazy and fight everything. I mean, obviously it doesn't last forever, it's still really cool, so I liked it a lot, although I really wish that Peter's Iron Spider suit stayed for a larger chunk of Far From Home, and I'll get to that in next week's episode, but still, it's so cool. And another thing I really liked was the fact that, and I really thought it was special that this happened, was that Iron Man sacrificed himself to save the universe, because there was a 1 in 14 million chance that the Avengers would win against Thanos, and that one chance, it meant that Iron Man had to die to sacrifice himself. He had to snap his fingers with the Infinity Stone and wipe out Thanos and his army. So like, I thought that was really honestly incredible that they did that and really, close out his arc, because he started the MCU and it ends with the MCU, or at least the first two phases of the MCU, because the MCU is still going to continue after this. But like, the first two phases of the MCU kicked off with that. And also, what's really special is that he gets everything he wanted with his death. He gets to see his father again and actually have a decent relationship with him, even though his father didn't really know him at that time. But like, at the same time, get to know him, really get to see his soul and see the kind of person he was. And then also there's a loaded scene that never made the final cut of the film, but you can still see it on YouTube, between Tony and Morgan. Morgan now being a teenage girl now, all grown up and everything like that. And it's set in the Soul World at Tony's camp, and it's the same kind of situation with Thanos and young Gamora, and it's so special. A lot of people complain that the actress who played a grown-up Morgan, Catherine Langford, didn't do a very good job. Like, her acting wasn't amazing. Like, it was like wooden. It wasn't horrible. I definitely think she could have done better, a little more expressive, but at the same time, it was a very emotional scene. But yeah, I was very satisfied by Iron Man's death. It was so sad though. Like, my goodness, I had tears in my eyes for sure when I saw that scene. When he finally died, I was like, oh my god, damn! What a great way to end a character, to really close out a character's arc after all these years. And another Avenger. I mean, let's face it, he pretty much is an Avenger. He even said it in one of the Ant-Man and the Wasp trailers. He finally gets his happy ending, finally marrying Hope. Well, we assume. I mean, it's more likely than not that he did marry Hope, and then also getting to settle down with a grown-up Cassie. He's truly happy. Hopefully he'll be on the team still. Hopefully he'll still be an Avenger, but like, still, that's really, really special. I like the fact that they did that. And a really nice Easter egg for the original Iron Man, and this was special, so special, was having the arc reactor that Pepper made for Tony towards the end of the first Iron Man film. And it is so special. It's like it has a proof that Tony Stark has a heart, and it's so amazing. I mean, obviously it's a very emotional scene, but like, at the same time, it's a great way to pay tribute to that first Iron Man film, where you have that arc reactor as a gift, and it is so amazing. Mainly because this film, it ends what Iron Man 1 started with. The main story of the film started with Iron Man and ended with Iron Man, so it's truly amazing. And the funeral was so special. Like, it was incredible to how they were able to pull it off, because it features pretty much every single character from every single MCU film, including Harley from Iron Man 3, a grown-up Harley, and that is amazing. Harley is the kid from Iron Man 3, the kid that helps Tony get through his post-Avengers PTSD, and seeing him when I first saw the film in theaters, seeing him, it really cheered me up. Like, I actually teared up more at seeing that shot than seeing Iron Man's death. Like, oh my god, it really. I mean, I wasn't really crying, but I really did feel tears. So, pretty close to crying, I'd say. And another Easter egg from Iron Man 1 was Happy's mention of Tony liking cheeseburger, or Morgan wanted one, and that is a nice little throwback and nod to that line from Iron Man 1 where he's like, I like the American cheeseburger, because that's great, because it's like, it's been 11 years since Iron Man 1, so it's like, it's really special. That makes the MCU so special, is the fact that they've been so successful with these films. So just getting to see nods to the start of the MCU is so amazing. And in the final scene, oh my goodness, yeah, Steve and Peggy get their dance from the, I guess, payoff from the end of the first Captain America movie. Like, that dance never happens when he wakes up in New York, and he's like, I had a date. And it gets paid off because Cap goes back to the 40s and marries Peggy, and they finally get their dance. So it's beautiful. Really beautiful. And what's really special and awesome about the end credits is that all the actors whose name gets credited, you have different clips from different appearances throughout the MCU, all playing, obviously on sound, but like, just all playing, and it's so cool. And then when we get to the original 6 actors who played all the Avengers, we have their character actually appearing physically, including Thor, based off Infinity War, which is the best version of Thor, let's be honest. Unless you count Thor from the original Thor film with the helmet. That was pretty comic accurate for sure. But you also have like the actor's autograph, followed by the Avengers theme. That's so cool. And then also the last few seconds of the movie actually end with a hammer against metal, which is paying tribute to the first time that Tony Stark ever made an Iron Man suit in the cave. Like, that's amazing. 11 years right there. That is amazing. So I love that. That was special. Okay, so here are some of the things I did not like. Not a lot, but I had a few. Okay, so Professor Hulk. He was a very interesting character. I'll talk about that a little bit later. He doesn't really like the idea of smashing anymore. Maybe in the final battle, but like, when he sees the 2012 version of himself smashing, he's like embarrassed by it. He's like, oh god. And like, no. That is just such a weak personality for him. Like, that's not... I hated the writing for that. Like, I really did not like the writing for that. I didn't think the Hulk was bad in the final battle. Just like, when he was Professor Hulk, I just did not like it because it didn't really... He doesn't really see himself as someone who smashes all the time. Like, he doesn't like that. And that's not what the Hulk is supposed to be. The Hulk is supposed to be all about smashing. That's what he is. So, that was probably when the writers decided to, oh, they're going to have the Hulk hate the fact that he smashes. Like, come on. This is the freaking Hulk we're talking about. God. And then also Fat Thor. Ugh. 5-year gap Thor, like, ugh. I did not like him. Because he didn't really care. He wanted to move on with his life, be all fat and everything, like, you know, be all depressed and everything like that. That's just like... I mean, I do understand that Chris Hemsworth had a lot more fun playing this version of Thor, but, like, I preferred the Thor from Infinity War so much stronger. He really was a lot more stronger than in Endgame. Like, he just... Ugh. I did not like that. Yeah, that was something I really did not enjoy at all. Just... Fat Thor did not agree with me at all. Just, ugh. His hair grew out, his beard got longer. It's like, no. Ugh. No. And one thing I've hated throughout this film, and it's also a thing that has happened in previous films, is the fact that the Avengers don't call each other by their superhero names. Like, ever. I mean, Vision is just Vision. Hawkeye was called Hawkeye once, original Avengers. Hulk is called Hulk only a couple of times. Black Widow was only called Black Widow once in Age of Ultron. Ugh. I don't, it's like, this is a superhero universe. Everyone's supposed to call them by their name, and no one does that. I just don't get it. And then, like, I mean, I get it. Captain America has his own nickname, Cap. That makes sense. And then he calls Spider-Man Queens because he's from Queens, and that's a nickname. I didn't like that. And then he also called Captain Marvel Danvers because that's her human last name. I just... No. Ugh. Like, seriously. I don't like that. That's not something they can do. I don't like it. I don't understand that. It never has agreed with me to the fact that they did that. No. No. Please, stop. They have superhero names. They don't call them that. Iron Man is the only exception. Ridiculous. Come on. God. The one thing about Endgame that I've hated is that no one calls each other by their superhero names. Ever. It sucks. And last but not least, like I mentioned earlier, the fact that Captain Marvel's appearance in this is very little. She has like 15 minutes of screen time. What really? I just feel like she didn't really have anything to do with the plot of the film. Like, she only came in the last second because Thanos was about to destroy the universe again. Like, ugh. Like, and she just, like, I felt like it was a waste of a period. I mean, don't get me wrong. She was awesome in the film when she was in the film. But, like, I just felt like that they could have done a better job at including her more in the film. I mean, maybe that was just on the writer, but they could have done it. But, like, I get it. Like, it's the way her character is written, the fact that she has to take over other things. But, like, seriously, it's like, it was like they were using her as a last resort. Like, oh, they're in this battle that they need someone, and it's like, oh my goodness, and they use her. Like, yeah, that's the one way to do it. But, like, seriously, God. Okay, next is cameos. Okay, there were quite a few actually. Some pretty great ones. So the first one is Joe Russo. He plays an openly gay man in the 5-year time skip in the post-snap support group. And he's also the co-director of the movie, along with Anthony Russo. But Anthony Russo doesn't appear in the film, just Joe. But, like, it's still cool. Like, he plays the first openly gay man. And the fact that Disney owns Marvel is interesting because Disney's never really shown, you know, kind of the LGBT community. Never. So that's a first, for sure. And then in the same post-snap group We also have Jim Starlin, who actually is the creator of Thanos from the comics. And he also is in the group, and it's just like, I didn't even know who he was. And then apparently when I watched the video, I was like, oh yeah, he's the creator of Thanos. Like, who would have thought? That's pretty cool. And the final real-life cameo was so special. And this was the final Stan Lee cameo. So, for this cameo, because it was the final one before he died, because he managed to film before he passed away, he gets to play the 1970s version of himself. Pretty sure. I mean, that's what he looked like in the 70s. I'm pretty sure either they dyed his mustache gray or just gave him a fake mustache. And then they also give him a gray wig or whatever, and that's how they did it. But they used very minimal de-aging. And I don't think they had to. I don't know how it worked exactly. They probably did some de-aging, but not a lot. And it was incredible to see him again for the last time, because unfortunately he did pass away, but like, it was still the last ever cameo he had. So it was very special. It was awesome. You know, I mean, I didn't cry for sure, but like, still, it was amazing. Okay, so next we have continuity errors. Oh my god, there was a lot. I found a lot. Okay. Let's just get through this list as fast as we can, because it's already a very, very long episode. Okay, so this also goes for the Captain Marvel post-credit scene, but also the beginning of Endgame at the Avengers headquarters. How did the Avengers get from Wakanda to the headquarters? Like, I can understand Tony and Nebula getting on Titan 2 via the Guardian ship, but like, how do the Avengers go from Wakanda to New York? That's a long distance. They didn't have a ship, as far as I know, so I feel like that was a bit of a continuity error. I don't know. And then also, how did Scott's ex-con van get from the top of a building in the Ant-Man and the Wasp post-credit scene to a storage facility in San Francisco? I mean, they were in the same city, but like, still, 5 years. I mean, the only logical conclusion is that someone found it on the top of a building and moved it, but like, it was on the top of a freaking building. How could they do that? I don't know. It's bizarre. I don't know how they did that. It's weird. And then following from that, how did Scott get the ex-con van from San Francisco to New York? I mean, first of all, he didn't even have the van with him when he left. Even if he went back for it after he visited Cassie, how would he have gotten from San Francisco to New York? Because that takes ages. We're talking California to New York. It would have taken him days to get there. Like, seriously? That's a continuity error. You can't... I don't think that Marvel Letters actually knew how long it would take them to get from those two states, because that's a long way away. That takes days. So, unless you take a flight, then it takes like maybe a day, but like, still, that's a long ways away. And then when Scott finally arrives at the Avengers base in upstate New York, he starts talking about Thanos, like, before Thanos and all that stuff. But like, how would he have known about Thanos? He wouldn't have. He was in the quantum realm. He would have no idea that the reason why Hope, Hank, and Janet were all snapped away is because of Thanos. Like, he wouldn't have known that unless when he got there that Steve and Natasha told him. There would have been no way. Like, how? How did you know that? I don't know. I definitely feel like there was a bit of continuity because he would have not... He wouldn't even know who Thanos was, so... I think that was on the writers. Another continuity error I found, actually I saw this in one of the CinemaSins videos, is that when Scott, Steve, and Natasha are at the diner with Bruce in his Professor Hulk form, there's a meal in front of them that appears cut in half. But then in the next shot, it's all in one piece again. It's like... I mean, it's not that big a deal, but it's like... Huh. It's hard to notice sometimes, And then when Rocket and Hulk arrive in New Asgard, Norway, Rocket talks about the original Asgard, but like, how would he have known that? He never went there. So like, that's a bit of a continuity error because he would have never been told about that. So like, he never went there in Infinity War unless Thor told him about it. So like, there's no way that Rocket would have known about Asgard. So it's a little bit of an error right there. And then another Thanos-related continuity error is with Hawkeye Ronin. At this point, he's not Ronin. And he mentions Thanos, but he would have no idea who Thanos was at that point. Like, he would have no idea who caused the snap. So, like, that doesn't make sense. Because, I mean, yeah, he knew that his family turned to dust, but he would have no idea who was behind it. So, that doesn't make any sense. Another continuity error I found was when Hulk meets the Ancient One for the first time, and she says that he is 5 years too early. Now, that's technically inaccurate because even though Doctor Strange never became a sorcerer at that point because it wasn't until 2016 that happened, he would have been a neurosurgeon by 2012. So, like, because Doctor Strange takes place in 2016, he would have still been a neurosurgeon. So that's a bit of an inaccuracy. I mean, like, it's kind of like with Homecoming, where they had an inaccuracy of the time gap, the 8-year time gap. Like, that doesn't really add up. So, like, yeah, I think Angel was a bit wrong about that. Technically, if we're talking about Doctor Strange becoming a sorcerer, would technically line up with the events of Thor Ragnarok, because at that point he would have been a sorcerer for about a year, because that takes place in 2017, and he would have met Thor by then. So like that technically works, but then again, the Ancient One only mentions him as a neurosurgeon, so there you go. Here's an interesting thing, actually. So that I read that at the beginning of the final battle, where it's just the three facing up against Thanos, when Thor uses the lightning to put his armor on. At that point, apparently he was supposed to revert back to his original look in Infinity War, which actually I would prefer because that's my favorite version of Thor so far. But that's not what Chris Hemsworth wanted. He wanted to be 5 years after Thor, which is weird, but like, if that would have happened, that would have been really cool to have the original Infinity War Thor there, because he's a much stronger version of Thor, for sure. And the last continuity error was really weird because it didn't really make sense at all, because no one mentioned it, is that when all the heroes came back after the final battle was over, even during the final battle they would have still seen it. And then when Hulk was getting Cap ready to take his swords back, like Sam and Bucky never even mentioned how he looked different, how he looked like the Hulk. So how would they have been comfortable with that? Wouldn't they start asking like, why you look like the Hulk now? And they like, I mean, I'm sure they would probably have been told by Bruce what happened, but like still, that's a bit of a continuity, because like they just like totally cool. They're like, yeah, you worked your thing with the Hulk, okay, whatever. So like, I think it would have cleared things up if they just kind of like, if Hulk explained to Sam and Bucky that he had made amends with Hulk. So I would have preferred that, but that's not the way we got. So there you go. And last but not least, finally coming to the end of this review, I have all the comic book Easter eggs, references, and accuracies. There were quite a few, actually. It's really what makes Endgame amazing and awesome, and just all around a phenomenal film. So we have Captain Marvel's new look, and it's straight from the comics. I've only read a couple of issues, actually, and in the comics, Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers, has short hair and has a sash. They nailed it. They nailed it. In the final battle, we see Captain Marvel flying around. She has a sash, so she has a comic accurate look. It's fantastic. And at the beginning of the 5-year time skip, when Natasha's meeting with everyone, and then the holograms, Okoye, who is the leader of the Dormant Logic from Wakanda, mentions an earthquake under the African plate underwater. And that's actually a comic book reference to character of Namor, which is essentially Marvel's version of Aquaman. Essentially, it's like our version of, Aquaman, but like it's not Aquaman. It's the same. It's a different character, but like it's the same kind of thing. They both have Atlantis kind of thing. So maybe we get that. Maybe that we actually get Namor in the future. Phase 4, Phase 5, depending on what movie they put him in. So a lot of people are wanting that. I have never heard of the character until like last year or something. So like it's the first time I've heard it, but like still, it'd be pretty cool. And with the time skip, Rocket also gets a comic accurate outfit. It's complete with the scarf and everything. I never read the comics, I wouldn't know, but like apparently that's what it looks like in the comics. So good job, Marvel. And Bruce finally gets at the Hulk. He finds a way to make it work by basically spending 18 months in a gamma lab, by having the mind, the face, and the voice of Bruce, but having the size and strength of the Hulk. It's definitely a new take on the character for sure, but I definitely feel like it's a very different version of the character at the same time. This is definitely a lot more interesting, but at the same time, he's weaker in personality. He doesn't really care about being all smashing everything like I mentioned before. And what's really different about this version of the Hulk is that he's no longer activated by anger. Like, he doesn't need to be angry to become the Hulk, like we previously had. Like, in fact, in the past, we've actually had times where he actually seems relatively calm as the Hulk, even though like he's triggered by anger, but like apparently anger isn't part of it anymore. In fact, he only really becomes useful in the final battle, like I mentioned earlier. He is just awesome in that final battle. He's great. So the place he finally gets some clothes on for once. Like he actually gets a suit, which is pretty cool to be honest. And in the elevator scene, which is actually a reference to the Winter Soldier, Cap manages to get the scepter, which has the Mind Stone in it, by telling Sitwell, Hail Hydra, which is actually a reference to comic books where Captain America became evil, apparently, and they can remember Hydra. I never read that comic, but apparently it happened. That's a direct reference to that, so it's like, that's pretty cool, I guess. And during the 1970s Tesseract heist, Steve actually calls that version of Hank Pym, who is the original Ant-Man, in the comics and also in the films. In that lab, we actually see the original Ant-Man helmet from the comics, which is so cool, by the way. Like, it's a great way to reference that. It's just so cool. And because this is Captain America's last film, he finally dons a comic book scale armor suit from the comics, which is great. I never read the comics, but like, it's still pretty cool that they finally got, you know, some accuracy going on there. Pretty cool, especially for the final fight. And one of the cooler comic book moments in Endgame was actually when Cap finally wields Mjolnir, or the 2013 version of Mjolnir. It's still so cool. And the reason why he didn't do it fully in Age of Ultron is because he's actually embarrassed for Thor, because he didn't want to lift it fully, because he didn't want to he didn't want to embarrass Thor, like, oh, I can lift it. So he finally gets to lift it in Endgame, in that final battle, and it's so cool. So it's actually different from the comics because he actually gets to lift it in the comics apparently. Awesome, and the way he uses it, like, he actually gets to call on lightning, and it's so cool. And last but not least, at the very end of the film, when Peter enters his high school after 5 years, there's actually a man in the background who looks an awful lot like Nick Fury's boss from the 90s that was, you know, masquerading as Talos in that form. And obviously in the next film, Spider-Man Far From Home, Talos appears in the disguise of Nick Fury. So it's kind of like a little reference that maybe the man from that background right there is actually the human version. He's an active Talos. Maybe not. I don't know. And then also we apparently get a Easter egg from someone who has a skirt that has like a web design. Some people are thinking maybe that's Gwen Stacy, also known as Spider-Man. Or maybe we're gonna get a version of that character in the MCU. Maybe so. That'd be really cool. So that's pretty much all of the Easter eggs. So yeah, that's pretty much where I'm going to leave this episode of review. Oh my goodness, quite a long episode. I'm so sorry, it just took forever. This movie is long, and it took me forever to review it, but I'm so glad I did it. So this was fantastic. I really enjoyed this film. It's probably one of my favorite super films of all time, and it really wraps up 22 films worth of story, at least for now, in the best possible way, and it's such a awesome movie. It's so cool, especially that final battle scene. It is awesome. It's just like, it's such a nerd moment, especially when the reviews came in. They were talking about it's so comic booky, and it's just so awesome and fun and ingenious, and I really enjoyed it. So that's pretty much all I'm gonna say about Avengers Endgame. It's a great film. I really enjoyed it. I had such a fun time watching it. I could watch it over and over again. That's how awesome it is. It's so cool just seeing everyone work together for the last time, and just seeing everyone come together and the sacrifices that are made, like Black Widow and Tony dying. They had to do it because it was the only way, but at the same time, they really wrapped up the story that started 11 years ago. And I can't wait to see what they're going to do in the future, especially with all the TV shows that they've set up. But like, at the same time, I really enjoyed this. This film was awesome. It was incredible. The best Avengers film of all time. The best MCU film of all time. Just, it wins all the awards, and I think it did get some Oscars, actually. And yeah, I was really impressed by this. I mean, yeah, sure, Hawkeye's hairstyle was a bit much, but like, at the same time, it still had a few flaws here and there, but also it was just so much fun. Like, everything about it was awesome. The final battle was awesome. It's my favorite aspect of the film. The Avengers theme playing in the best part of the portal scene. Just Thanos as a villain is great. Just like, and everyone gets their happy ending. Sad, yes, but at the same time, it really ends things in a perfect way. So I really enjoyed this. It was fantastic. It really makes me happy about how far they've come with other movies, because they probably think they were going to do this. Like, never thought that they would be able to build towards this. I mean, obviously we're going to get another Avengers film, but it'll probably be a lot smaller and a lot of stuff. But at the same time, I really enjoyed this film. It was awesome. So that's pretty much all I'm going to say about Avengers Endgame. I'm going to leave this movie with a 10 out of 10. Maybe they can go to like 11 out of 10. I can't do that. No. 10 out of 10. Phenomenal movie. Awesome. So much fun to watch. A great story. You know, very emotional. I definitely feel like Ant-Man wasn't, you know, treated as well as the other Avengers. Like, he wasn't really made officially a part of the team. So I definitely felt like he was, like, I don't know, treated not as well as the other characters. Not like a kid, but just like he wasn't really treated as important as everyone else. Like, they didn't really take him seriously. I mean, they did, but like not as seriously as other characters. But at the same time, I thoroughly enjoyed this film. It was awesome to watch. It's just so much fun, and just everything about it's awesome. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Reviewed. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the like button. I really appreciate it. And if you're new to this channel, subscribe for more episodes of this series. Also, make sure to click that bell to enable alerts so you don't miss any of my uploads. And I'll be back next week with another episode. Alright? See ya.